Hey, everybody, welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Hour. I'm your host, Rob Lupo from Lupo Outdoors, and we have a guest. We met at SHOT Show this year, SHOT Show 2024. James, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us about what you do?
All right. Thanks, Rob. I'm James from 303 Tactical. 303 Tactical has a podcast you can find on all your streaming services, Apple, iHeart, just to name a few. And I also do a little boutique firearms training for people who are super fearful of going to a class and just want to kind of get some general knowledge before they take on a full class. I do that along with teaching adjunct at places like Gunsight and spend some time on a police training range teaching brand new recruits. So that's kind of a little brief history of me. So at 303 Tactical.
Awesome, awesome. I want to thank you so much for joining us. We're also going to be on his podcast next week on Wednesday. And at the end of the thing, I'll let him kind of give you a spill of where he's at about his podcast and so forth. So we actually met at SHOT Show this year, and SHOT Show was crazy. So uh, last week we didn't have a podcast because we were flying back home from SHOT Show. But the week before, we talked about some of our strategies on how we were going to tackle SHOT Show and some of the things that we were trying to plan to do. And like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until you get hit in the face. And then the plan
That's
ain't the
true.
plan no more. But yeah, we tried to stick to the plan as much as we could, and we made some great contacts, made some new friends like James here,
Thank
and
you.
we have a lot of products that we're going to be reviewing. That so, James, what were some of the most exciting things that you saw this year at Shot Show?
Well, Rob, I'll tell you, this is the first year I've gone since it's been fully back from COVID. I went the year after their COVID hiatus. Not quite everyone had come back, but I will tell you, it is back and it is bigger than ever. So um, I kind of made a tackling list, and about within the first 5 minutes, my tackling list was out the window. So you're right; everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So I saw lots of cool things. I guess the first thing that really jumped out at me is everyone is making a compensator for their pistols now. Uh,
Yeah,
I think we can attribute that to the rise of competition shooting, and just people wanting a smoother shooting pistol in their hands. And a lot of places are making them now that go on threadless barrels, almost using a kind of like locking lug style, if you will, because I think there are some restrictions on threaded barrels in some places. And with these locking lug systems, and I'll speak to FN and Shadows systems specifically, they're super simple to take on and off the gun, don't require any timing. They go on super simple, and they can come off easy to get your pistol disassembled. And I'm hoping to get one to shoot, but I hear it really flattens out the shooting of your pistol.
yeah, at range day, I got the a chance to shoot some like new ammo, like Winchester has new ammo out, and I got to shoot some of the new pistols that people are putting out. And like you said, there was everybody has suppressor for their pistols.
Yeah,
Everyone had a suppressor for their pistols, and that was actually kind of cool. I'm kind of glad that we had the whole suppressor things, a thing. Um, But there are some new pistols out there too that I thought that were pretty cool. Uh, I got my can right before SHOT Show, and that's going to be really really cool. It's I got a Banish 30 Gold from Silencer Central,
excellent.
and I got a chance to go and talk to them briefly at SHOT Show this year, and I love the can. The can's awesome because I can do everything from like 300 Win Mag all the way down to point 0.1 7 HMR. And so I mean it covers the majority of the rounds that I have, except for my new rifle that I have, which is now in 338 Lapua. So I need a oh darn, I need to get another can. Shucks. Um, the My 338 Lapua, I have to point out that I've named. I like to name my rifles. Do you name your guns by chance?
I am not monogamous with my firearms very much, only a couple of them. So it's hard to name them because you don't want to get, what it's like naming the family cow, and then the next thing you know, the cow is dinner. So I struggle with
Yeah.
the naming though.
So, like my favorite rifles, I name. I don't name every single one of my rifles, but my higher end rifles, um, like that I've gotten for like uh, long range shooting and so forth. So I have one of my videos is Quest to 1,000 yards,
Mm.
um, and the rifle that I got with that, or for that video, I named Zombie Slayer. But if you see it, you understand why it's named Zombie Slayer, because it's kind of like a dead gray and like that glowing, yeah, sorry, green color mixed. It's just it's Rob Zombie Slayer is the name of that rifle. And then
Excellent.
I built a rifle from scratch that I called Goblin Slayer, and that's a long range of 6.5 Creedmoor. Zombie Slayer's in 6.5 PRC, and then this Lapua 338 Lapua, I named it Happy Meal. Can you guess why?
Is it red and gold?
Huh?
Is it red and gold like the Golden Arches?
No, I named it Happy Meal because every time I shoot it, each round costs about the cost of a Happy Meal. So it made
this
sense,
sport,
I guess, right?
this sport we've enjoyed definitely is getting more expensive by the day.
You know, um, and the irony is if you reload, you don't save a lot of money reloading, not like you used to. You
No,
know,
that's for true.
yeah, I mean, it used to be you reloaded to save cash. Now you reload to have full control over each round to make them far more consistent. Like I reloaded shotguns. I was a shotgun shooter forever, and I reloaded shotguns specifically because of the fact that I wanted full control out of each round. So I had my timing down for moving targets. Right. And now it's mostly because I want to, like this year we have a quest for a mile. So this year we want to shoot a mile target. You know, last year I had never shot anything over 100 yards because I was a shotgun shooter for 20 years,
Right.
right? And then in 2 days, our friend of the channel, Mike, taught us how to shoot Zombie Slayer. And on our second day, we went to 1,219 yards, nailed it dead center, and then put a second bullet right next to it. Good
Wow.
instructor. um, so this year we're going to go for a mile, and then next year we're going to try for two, which is why we got the Liverpool Magnum. But so let's talk about some of the cool things that we saw.
Okay.
Let's talk about Christensen Arms. Let me show what I have up there. Let's share screen. So I got to shoot this at range day, and this was amazing. A great rifle. So one of the problem I have with like hunting rifles is you'll have the texture on the side of the rifle,
Hmm.
and some of the texture grips your hand, but a lot of it is just bumpy, smooth plastic. So
Yeah.
your hand slips off of it. And that wasn't the case with this one at all. It actually kind of gripped my hand. So I actually really liked it. The video of me shooting this will be up this weekend. I'm doing the full range day video, which has all the interviews where everybody's talking about all the new products that they have out. And about the specific weapon. So it's a nice long video of the whole day. So this is coming out. We have 243 Win, 6.5 Creedmoor, PRC. It's really released in a lot of the popular cartridges, and this is supposed to be out this summer. And it's a really exciting rifle. I was really, really impressed with it, honestly. Uh, so what rifle
Robert,
cartridges do you like to shoot, James?
you know, I have a kind of limited space, so I try and limit my caliber. So I'm a big fan of the 308. It's been doing it for so long. Um,
Yeah.
the 6.5 Creed, it's a nice flat shooting round. I mean, I enjoy that too. I just don't shoot as much of it as possible. I was going to ask you what the features you get in these rifles. How is it compared to the price for the rifle?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's see if they have a price on here. Another, I think he mentions the price in my video. So this one, the Evoke, is 898, which isn't unreasonable. And then yeah, so I mean, it's not a horribly high price rifle to be truthful. I mean, right there, it's about 7.7 pounds, and you're talking about 900 bucks, right?
Yeah.
Mossy Oak variant is 942. The Evoke Hunter is 998, so about a grand. And then the Precision, which is I think what we were shooting there, is about 1,050.
Still
So
not bad at all.
not too bad, honestly. Not unreasonable for the quality of Precision Arms.
Right.
It really shot well. It really shot well.
Excellent. Do you know how far out were you shooting them, Rob?
Um, there we were shooting. I think we were. He was calling my shots. I want to say we were at about 1,000 yards out there,
Oh,
and it was nailing it.
excellent.
And and the one I was shooting was a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah, a great round.
And well, I mean, a 6.5 Creedmoor you can hit 1,000 yards all day.
Yes.
It's funny. There's so many haters for that round, but when it comes down to it, it's quickly become one of my favorite rounds. It's easy, it's easy to find the ammo. It's just a little bit more expensive than 308. And
Yep.
308 has been around forever. So I mean, it the controversy about whether or not you should, shoot if you're a new shooter, shoot a 308 or a 6.5 Creedmoor is to me preference.
Right.
People say if you're a brand new shooter, do the 6.5 because it has far less recoil. Hey, Vanessa Kitty. She's one of my regulars here. Thank you for
Excellent. Hi,
joining us.
Vanessa.
Vanessa's awesome. We love her. Um, but I'm a big fan of the 6.5 Creedmoor, mostly because it's just a very, very flat shooting projectile. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very accurate at long ranges, which is why I love my 6.5 PRC.
Oh, I'm
Just
sure.
a really, really good shooting round. One of my next rifles I'm going to get is a 300 PRC.
Oop.
So, she's saying hi to you.
Oh, hello, Vanessa. Sorry about that. I was going to the wrong screen there for a second. I was about to have a heart attack.
So, you shoot 308, 6.5. Do you do it in any of the AR platforms?
Yeah. In all my ARs, other than just a couple, I have a couple of the AR-10s, but yeah, several of the AR platforms. And I'm kind of, I don't want to say finicky, but I've had what I've had, and I've had it for a long time. I'm a big fan of. When I was a baby copper, I grew up on a Colt M4, and then Daniels came out, and I think Daniels is still probably putting out some of the best ARs right now.
Oh,
And I have
without
lots of their
question.
stuff, and their stuff really works, and you just pick it up and feel how solid it is. And I think you get a lot in their rifles where if you were to go a lesser route, you're still going to spend more in accessories and changing out things to begin with.
Well, I would agree with you on that. They produce, in my opinion, some of the top AR-15 platforms out there and AR-10 platforms. Uh, they're rock solid and they don't weigh a ton. My first AR-15 platform was a Bushmaster, and
Yes.
and it's heavy.
Yes.
It shoots great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's heavy. It's very heavy. But
Yeah.
I
You
didn't
know,
pay a fortune for it either.
that's true. They have definitely gone up in price from where they were. I was surprised, Rob, when I was at the Daniels booth that they have a pistol now.
Yeah. What'd you think of
The
that?
I thought it was super heavy. But I'm an old 1911 shooter, so the doesn't really bother me. But it, like you picked it up and you would thought you were holding a old school Colt 70 series. I mean, it's got some weight to it, which weight isn't always a bad thing, right? It helps us reduce some of that, mitigate some of that recoil a lot. I'd really like to shoot it. You can tell they built it. It's optics ready. It's got a cutout for optics. So would love to get my hands on one. The retail on it was $12.99, so it's expensive, but I don't know. I would be curious to see what it shoots like for sure.
Yeah, I did not see that at range day. I mean, to be honest, there was so much at range day. I missed a lot of things. Maybe it's good with my nervous system issue. Sometimes a heavier weapon stabilizes you, which isn't
Yeah,
too bad. But yeah, there was a bunch of things I completely missed at range day. I spent the majority of my time in the long range section where the rifles are because
right.
it was awesome. I got to shoot some of the semi-automatic rifles. Excuse me. But we were just talking about AR platforms. Um, Bishop Ammunition and Firearms. I visited them at range day, and they had something that was just freaking awesome. And I want to show it to you here. Let's see
Please.
here. Do 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 do. Let's see. Channel content. Order. Let's see. Where is it? I think this is it. There we go. So check this out. Let me go full screen. Waiting for you. You won't like what you see. Yeah, I feel like a monster. So
Taking
this
Glock
is
mags.
no. So that's a let's bring it back a little bit here. It's oops, sorry. So this is a 45 ACP,
Okay.
and the president um, of Bishop designed this, and it's like a cross between a Tommy gun and an AR-15. And my goodness gracious, it just shot like crazy. It was really really cool. Um,
I was gonna say it almost looks like a Tommy gun with that front handle there, and
exactly. Well, it's a wood stock too. Um,
excellent.
so at 100 yards, she had in the video. If you go watch the quick range day video, or actually on Sunday's video, she talks about it. So way out there is the human silhouettes, right? And she was pegging dead center on the head at that range. And I swing the camera over and show you how far out she was with that gun. And that
Wow.
was just crazy. So I believe that's going to be around $1,800, $1,900, and
Not a not
that's
unreasonable.
and you can get it like Cerakote, engraved, anything you want. And that was one of the coolest firearms I shot while I was there. So much fun. And if you're an AR fan, I mean, like, it she designed the barrel. So when you look at a close up at the barrel near the action, the barrel's ridged like heat sinks.
Hmm.
So it will cool down the barrel as you fire it, and it just felt great to fire. So they custom build, make ammunition there too, which is really cool. But yeah, I talked to them. I have several interviews on the upcoming video, which is great. But what a fun firearm to shoot! That forward grip locks into any M lock. It's completely 100% M lock compatible.
Is it fully adjustable on that gun too? So different size shooters?
Yep,
Perfect.
exactly. And that kill, that was just awesome. So
That looks
huh?
that
What was
looks like a fun time for sure.
and it's under 2 grand. So
Yeah.
I believe it's about $1,900. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I went to Bishop's website, and it's not up there yet. But if you call them, you can order one, and they do things like 458 SOCOM, uh, upper assemblies, and oh my goodness gracious, they have some really amazing firearms at their website. Um, but it's cool when you go and you see these really interesting firearms. Um, there was guns that I was hoping that got released this year, and like some of the ones that I was looking for didn't get released, some did. Was there anything that you were specifically looking for this year that you got to go see?
Well, and this isn't in the firearms section, but this was the Trigicon's new RMR HD. Um, I think we're lucky to kind of be in this industry and doing what we do because I think we're in the infancy of red dots on pistols. You can think back to when you first learned how to shoot an AR. Maybe one or two guys when you show up a class had an optic on it. Now you don't go to a single class without an optic on it, and the things those their glass on rifles can do. I think we're going to see the further evolution in optics. And Trigicon came out with their RMR HD, and one of the biggest complaints about Trigicon RMRs is they're a great optic. I'm a huge fan of the RMR Type 2. I own probably 15 of them on different guns, and they are just great. They work every time. You can abuse the hell out of them, and they just work. But one of the biggest drawbacks to Trigicon's design is the battery is underneath the optic. So every time you have to change the battery, which you should do every year, like a good shooter, um, at New Year's Eve, of course, before you start partying. But the problem with the RMR Type 2 is that you had to unmount the optic, right, to change the battery. And especially, for those law enforcement folks, they have to change it because they just can't have it not work. You and I go out to the range and our optic doesn't work. It's a bummer. Those guys working on the streets, their optic doesn't work. It's tragic. So that was one of the biggest things with the RMR HD is it came out with a top load battery, which people have been screaming it for from Trigicon. And when you look at it, and this is the first time I got to look at it, so I don't know if it's just because I saw it or if I haven't because I haven't seen it mounted on a gun. The new window from the RMR HD is gigantic. It's like going from that tiny little black and white TV you had as a kid to a full flat screen. It is just huge. Now, like I said, I don't know if it's just because it was new to me and I hadn't seen it mounted on a gun, but a much larger window. And then the controls are a little bigger, and then it has a forward-facing light sensor. So as you're pointing out to a target, you're reading the light that your target's given to you instead of like on the sides, like the current RMRs have. So, and it also has a selectable reticle. I'm just a dot guy on my pistols. I think the circle of death gets a little too much in the windows, but different strokes for different folks. But you can select that with the new Trijicon RMR HD, and you can just tell when you pick it up, it's built robust. So I'm super excited. I mean, that was released I think last year at SHOT Show, and they're still trying to pump them out to the distributors. So that was something I was super excited to see and see how that's going to go for the next evolution of optics, because the full size optic Trijicon really is one of my favorites. So I'm excited to see that out and get it on a gun.
That's awesome. And what's the price going to be on that, or do you know?
I think the retail was 8 something. I when you see it on like Optics Planet and all those other websites, it's around 6 something. So, not crazy expensive. A good standard optics running you between 4 and 6. So right in line there, just a little bit more, and it may come down as it gets a little more out in the public.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Did you see HoloSun's optic, the thermal?
I did. HoloSun has some stuff that's coming out, and I like the product, especially because for your everyday carry gun, some of these slimmer guns, they really have some great. I don't want to use the word miniaturized, but for lack of a better word, optics that so you can always have a dot on your gun, and they've really stepped up their game, like you said, with that thermal and a couple of their other new releases there. And I can't remember their topics off the top of my head, but yeah, they have some new stuff coming up. It's going to be great, and their stuff is always in a reasonable price point.
Yeah, our buddy Mike was with us at SHOT Show this year. The one who taught me how to do long range shooting, and I guess he ordered one of those last year, and it never came out last year.
Hmm.
So it's I'm curious to see if it comes out this year. But the whole idea of having that, their thermal, in a low profile is kind of cool, actually.
Yeah,
But that was one of the big talks of the town at SHOT Show this year. Everybody was talking about HoloSense. Walking by their booth, absolutely crazy. I didn't even bother going in. I talked
yeah,
to them briefly at the field day, but their booth was so packed with people. I was like, yeah, I don't think so.
yeah. Daniels was the same way. I struggled at the Daniels booth because I wanted to ask about this H9. But you're right. It's just so many people, and they're doing so many different events, and it's like sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's better just to wait and get someone one on one a little later.
Yeah, I mean, I came back with a stack of business cards like that thick from the show, and I got to go through all of them, and send thank you letters for their time, and discuss stuff, and I made some amazing contacts out there, which was great. Starting to get out there, and the irony is like this weekend I'm going to be sending out my like thank you emails to everybody. I wanted to give a week for people to kind of just decompress, and I already got vendors emailing me this week going, hey, thanks for dropping by the booth. Would you consider reviewing X, Y, and Z, of our products? And, is there anything specific you're looking at for any upcoming shows? I was like, wow, proactive.
Yeah,
So it's
and
kind of cool.
yeah, and it's hard because I'm sure those guys get just bombarded. You came back with a business card stacks this thick. I'm sure their stack is this thick. So it's nice to. And I'm a huge fan of when people reach out and it shows respect on both sides, and we all just want to enjoy these products. There's some great stuff out there.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like, we were talking before we started because I mean, you're an AR-15 person. So I met these guys at the show. They were at the Venetian Level 1 Takedown Tools Gunsmithing Kit. So they gave me a kit at the show, and I was actually pretty impressed with this kit. Um, we're going to be doing a full review on these fairly soon. So it's you have your AR punch tools and so forth. But what was really cool about these, instead of using a hammer, it's a spring. So you lift it up and drop. So when you put it on the thing and lift and drop, it
Excellent.
it helps pull the pins and push the pins back in. And I was chatting with them for quite a while. It's a veteran-owned company.
Great.
Really, really nice people. I'm a big, big fan of supporting veteran-owned companies. My father was a Vietnam vet, so if you're a veteran, first of all, I want to say to all veterans out there, thank you for your service. Um, just nothing but
Absolutely.
respect. So look for that review coming up. But I mean, it's really neat. I was chatting with them. They were right across um, from another vendor that does non-lethal uh, uh, firearms. Well, it's not really firearms, but they're like PCP type air
Right.
rifles that shoot these small. They're not paintball, but it's a contained like pepper ball. And
Hmm.
the problem with like most pepper ball sprays is when they impact, they spread out a lot. And their patent design, when it hits you, stays local to you. So if a police officer hits a perpetrator and it hits them, they're affected only, and a police officer can hold on to them and not be affected at all.
Wow.
It was really, really impressive. But the price on those, because you can use them for home defense and and for like law enforcement and military, so forth. For crowd controls. But they were a little pricey. I mean, they were like 1,900 bucks, but great range. So like they were showing, most paintball or air powered things, your range is maybe 20, maybe 50 feet, accurate. And these guys were like, I want to say dead on accurate to 100 yards.
Wow.
Think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know the old school pepper ball guns don't have that range, and they start to drop so soon.
Yep. Yeah, these guys, they have a special rifle barrel, and they're not using normal. It's all proprietary design, so that's really really cool. We're going to be reaching out to them. But there's so much. It's funny because everyone said, "All right." So this was my first year at Shot Show, and everybody's like, "You're not going to see everything," and make your list, and you're going to try to see everybody, but you're not going to see everybody. And they're right.
Yeah, there's so much. You really want to go like I made a list of, okay, I definitely have to talk to these folks. These are folks I have if I have time, and then I want this much time just to wander around. Like you said, find new and fun products, and that's probably one of the funnest parts about Shot Shows, just seeing new stuff and meeting new people. I like going simply just for that aspect. Um, like you said, finding these new inventions and people thinking out, especially all ranges generally, unless it's an indoor range, you have to travel. So you need to have
Yep.
some toolkit with you because there's nothing more disappointing that if you can't fix your tool that you brought, unless you brought a backup, which I highly encourage, but you need to be able to fix it yourself and kind of be self-reliant. So having a small tool like that from takedown, that's pretty cool.
It when I go to the range, the last thing I want to deal with is so much bulk.
Yeah.
It's like Um, like I visited Fix-It Sticks, and Fix-It Sticks has a bunch of brand new tools out, and I love my Fix-It Sticks kit. I have a long range Fix-It Sticks kit, and um, I find myself using that more than anything else. Like I have tools that are like right behind me, designed exactly for what I'm doing, and I just use my Fix-It Sticks because it's just right there in
Yeah.
front of me. So what it's great because I can bring it with me to the range. But when you're starting to look at everything that you're bringing to the range, it gets cumbersome, and uh, it's just a pain. It's absolutely a pain. And I don't just bring like one rifle or one pistol with me. If I'm going to go shooting, I want to shoot multiple things. So like
Yes.
if I'm shooting a specific rifle, I'm going to shoot that for a while, right? Get the footage I need or get the testing I need with that. And then I'm going to go to the next rifle. I'm going to sight that one in, and then this one over here, I'm going to, adjust the scope. Or there's all kinds of things I want to do, and I want to make best use of my time.
Yeah,
So,
and I find I'm sorry, and I would just add to that,
no, 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 go ahead, please.
in in Colorado, my favorite outdoor range, because indoor ranges you're really limited on what you can do. My outdoor range that I'm a member at's an hour and 10 minutes away. So when I go, it's there for a half day because it's just not a great trip if I just go and shoot a couple hundred rounds and then leave. I want to, like you said, shoot a couple different things and have kind of a plan of the things I want to get done.
No, exactly. So, was there anything that you were specifically anticipating to be released at SHOT Show that you got to go see?
The new comp design from Shadow. Shadow has a new comp, and we talked about it earlier. That lug, and it only adds a half an inch to the end of the barrel. If you've
Yeah.
seen some of these comps that screw on the threaded guns, they're a good inch or two added onto your barrel, which doesn't sound like much, but part of the problem is finding holsters for this stuff. They're putting them on some of their more compact guns, is just making them the size of a Glock 17. So if you can find a Glock 17 holster, you can have a comp on your pistol and find a holster for it. As you probably well know, and I'm sure some of your viewers and listeners know, custom holsters for stuff that we found and we really enjoy, like the long slide stuff, and it's expensive. And if you can find someone who does it and does it well, you know, you buy a couple of them because you may not find it again. So having something like that from Shadow, where it is the same as a Glock 17, I think is awesome. And I was really excited to see their comps. And like I said, I'm excited. I'm going to reach out to Shadow and try and get one to T&E because I'm new to the comp game. I know they've been around, and I've shot a couple guns with those ones that screw on threaded barrels. But I want to see if this lug system and their engineering that's really made this comp so much smaller, if you're still getting the same effect that you had previously.
Yeah, no, you're. I'm kind of excited about those too. I'm building a Glock 17. I'm sorry, a Glock 19 with a comp on it, and it's kind of neat. I mean, I love threaded barrels, so like putting comps on the ends and seeing how it stabilizes the shooting and helps with the accuracy or doesn't, as the case may be, depending on how well it was designed. This is
Right.
all exciting stuff to me. So it's like, yeah, it's nice when you have uh, an idea of what you're looking for. Like at Shot, one of the first booths I wanted to go to was Benelli.
Mm.
So last year at the European Shot Show, they released the new Benelli Lupo, which is uh, it's the HPR, the Benelli Lupo HPR, which is so I have the regular Benelli Lupo. I had to because it's my last name, and it's a great rifle. But I made a mistake.
Oh,
I bought it in 300 Win Mag,
okay.
and the built-in suppression system that they have in their stock. So what they did is they took uh, the recoil suppression that they have in their shotguns, which they're absolutely famous for, and they did it for the rifles. So my
Wow.
three, without putting a comp on the end, I got barrel rise, but my recoil wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad, but I definitely got recoil or barrel rise. So I put an Ultradyne LR, Apollo LR compensator on the end of my Benelli Lupo, which I'm going to be filming this weekend. Um, and then it alleviated the majority of the barrel rise and even reduced the recoil more. So it the recoil on my 300 Win Mag is less than my 308 in my Savage Axis 2, which is
Wow.
fantastic for a 300 Win Mag.
Yeah.
But there's a problem.
Uh-oh.
Um, twist rate. So all the Benelli Lupo's twist rates are spot on. And the HPR is the same way, except for the 300 Win Mag. The 300 Win Mag on the standard Benelli Lupo is 1 in 11.
Hmm.
And it should be 1 in 10.
Yeah.
Which basically means if you shoot a heavy grain bullet at about 400 yards, it's going to start to destabilize. I shoot 200 grain, 300 Win Mag bullets. So if I take this hunting, right? First of all, I want to shoot long range. I will probably never be able to shoot 1,000 yards accurately with my Benelli Lupo because I
Yeah.
mean, unless I drop down to like maybe 120 or 130 grain bullet, and then we'll see. And I might test that out this year and show it. But as a hunting rifle, my 200 grain bullet, most of the times, the shots you want to take are less than 400 yards anyhow, just with the capabilities and ethicalness of it. But let me show you what happened or what's going on with the Benelli HPR. I share that screen here. So here's the HPR.
Okay.
And I've been talking about this all year round because we didn't get it. Europe got it. And the problem with in Europe, they got it in 308 and they got it in 6.5 Creedmoor. We're getting it in a multitude of different rounds. So this is a guaranteed a 3/4 inch MOA, 5 shots at 100 yards, and most are 3 shots. But this is in 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 338 Lapua, 300 PRC, 300 Win Mag. It's coming out in far more calibers this year for us, for the American market.
Right.
I looked at all the twist rates. All the twist rates are perfect except for the 300 Win Mag, which is once again in 1 in 11.
Did they give a reason for that, Rob?
I asked them and Mike asked them, and they said, oh, 1 in 11 is fine. But you look at a twist rate calculator, right, for stabilization, and you want 300 Win Mag to be at a 1 in 10 for heavier bullets. And there was, I mean, and this is a completely new designed rifle. This is completely different from the other Benelli Lupo. So there was no reason for them to do this. And they advertise this as a long range rifle. You can convert this from a long range, uh, um, rifle to a hunting rifle, and not in 300 Win Mag. You can't. So I have
Hmm.
no idea what they were thinking about. But that's what I was really super excited to see. I finally got to hold one in my hands. It feels good. You know how we were talking about how the grips, the textured grips, either grip onto you or they feel like smooth plastic. This kind of felt
Yeah.
like smooth plastic.
Oh no.
And it's going to be about $3,000. the rifle is not cheap. You know, it's going to be up there, price range, but at almost $3,000 for that rifle, I would expect a little bit more. Um, there's a shooting school in Texas that uses the Benelli Lupo in 6.5 Creedmoor, and they hit 1,000, and they shoot 1,000 yards all day long with it. It's a great rifle, accuracy wise, but I don't understand why they did that. That's crazy.
Hmm. Is that going to be in the stores right away, or is it coming out later this year?
So it looks like it's going to come out um, bit by bit. The last one that's coming out is going to be, I think, May is when all of them should be out by the end of May, and the last one coming out is the 338 Lapua. So
Okay.
we should actually see them in the stores fairly soon. I mean, it's not like they haven't made them, right?
Right.
Yeah. I would assume 6.5, Creedmoor, and 308 would be the first ones to be in the stores.
Yeah.
But, it's a beautiful rifle. So
Was
what
that
else
at the
did
range?
you go ahead?
Was that at range day at all? Did you see it at the range or just in the booth?
No, I just saw it in the booth. I wish it was at range day because I guarantee you my hands would have been on that rifle. I want to shoot. Almost all the rifles there, most of the rifles that people were shooting were in 6.5 Creedmoor. Um, the big rifle that everyone got to shoot was Barrett's, which was a 416,
Hmm.
and that was fun. And
I'll
they were letting everybody keep their brass too. So once you shot it, you got to keep that brass,
bet.
and it had like no kick. I
Really?
shot it, and it was like nothing. But because we were inside, like we had a roof over us,
Uh-huh.
there at the long range. So every time they shot it, pieces of the foam on the roof would fall down. And that was
Oh yeah.
crazy. That was absolutely crazy.
I'm sure there was a line to shoot
So
that.
yeah, it wasn't too bad though. You didn't have to wait too long, but you definitely felt the concussion from the muzzle brake. That muzzle brake really, really handled the recoil well. Like
Yeah.
I felt the recoil was so well handled that you could shoot that standing up.
Really?
It was impressive.
That's great.
So, what else did you go look at? Did you try to see things other than firearms there, or are you a big reloader?
I'm not a big reloader. The one booth I did make it over to is the Benchmade booth. Uh they do some really quality great knives, and they've come out with a new edition, and I kind of got drawn in from the showroom because it just looks cool. But they have this new water line, and I don't know the name of the steel, but they've managed to make a new steel with incorporating a couple different ones in, and it almost eliminates corrosion. So people in the humid, so like you in the Florida with the humidity and stuff, um, really cuts down on anything rusting out. And they have this new color, and it's like a blue gray for all their handled knives, so it kind of separates them out. But yeah, really great, especially for people along coast and stuff like that. I know they get a lot of complaints about some of their stuff rusting out because they make such good stuff, but Mother Nature seems to always win some way. But they seem to think this new water line will resist a lot of that.
Really? What was the price point, or did they talk about it?
Uh, they didn't talk about it, and they didn't talk about it. And when I asked if I could have someone to do a hit for my podcast, we'll give you a card and we'll speak with you a little later. So, I mean, they're trying to keep things uniform, so I can understand that. But we're all there to kind of see things, but it's going to be a cool product, and it comes in folders and fixed blades and fillet knives for fishermen and stuff like that. So they're really kind of broadening it out across the product line.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
It's
So
funny because sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so I made it to the knife booth. So yeah,
Well, I mean, they had everything at SHOT Show. There was a booth there that sold they looked like shotgun shell energy drinks. And they're kind of like a 5 hour energy drink thing, but
right,
they're like shot shells. And so I tried one out. It tasted really good. I think the 5 hour energy drinks don't taste really great, but these actually
right.
tasted really well. Um, and it helped on day one, that's for sure. Um, are you familiar with Annealing Made Perfect?
No.
Let me show you. I talked to these guys, and these guys were really cool. So it's it's a son and father team. I think they're from Australia, but the machine is just crazy cool. And their new one, so the old machine is the one you see here with the little buttons in the front
Okay.
of the screen. Um, and the new one now is a touch screen and it's a bigger screen. And the annealer, it's really interesting. So you put it in there, you touch that, you hit the button, and then it's annealed in a matter of seconds. And you just drop it in there and it's hot. And it's just crazy cool. But the cost of the annealer is about, I want to say, $1,700.
Hmm.
But like this is where it's the difference, right? Because Um, I have some annealing tools that I got for reloading that were sent to me to do an evaluation on that cost about $27 each, and it's based off of whatever shell you're shooting. So it's hand spun aluminum, and you put it over a torch with a drill. When it starts getting orange, you drop it, put a new one in, and so forth. Um, but I was checking these guys out at the booth there. So the new one's coming out in May, and yeah, it's the Mark II-B, and you can see it's a touch screen here. So
Wow.
I'm getting one of those once they start shipping. I'm getting one of those sent to me to test. And what's interesting is the screens are much bigger, but what's cool is a lot of the places that sell higher end annealers or higher end brass like Lupua brass and Hornady brass and so forth, they use these machines and then they can give you your code because normally what happens is you would take your brass and you would sacrifice a piece of brass and it would go through until it actually burnt the brass, and this, being smart, knows where to back it off to get the optimal annealing on that brass, and it's literally a matter of seconds. So I thought that was way, way cool. And then everyone I talked to that's used this has absolutely loved it and said, if you're going to anneal brass, this is the route to go. So I'm kind of looking forward to doing that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my low end, my mid grade, because I just got an annealer that was sent to me by a vendor. It showed up today, and that's more the mid range annealers in the 2 to 300 dollar range, and then this is in the 1,000 plus range. So I'm going to kind of talk about the different annealers in an episode, but it's like I'm a shotgun shooter, so I reloaded shotguns for years,
Yep.
and you don't anneal. I mean, it's a simpler process, and now I'm like, this was so far more complex than competition shotgun shooting ever was, right?
Well,
So,
with inventions like that, it seems like it's making it a little more simple for you for sure.
so this will make it simple because you register the. I mean, so when you start talking about brass, Like some of the 338 Lapua brass cost $5 a brass per $5. I'm I don't want to screw that one up, you know. So
No.
the whole purpose for things like this is your more expensive brass, your larger cartridges, because this will go up to 50 BMG. Um,
Wow.
where the brass is expensive, you want to get as many shots out of that as possible. So that was really really cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Now, do you do any reloading at all, or
I don't. When I was younger, we did a lot of shotgun loading because we shot a lot of trap. So that was but like you said earlier, back then it was to save a lot of money. Now it's but it's this way here. Either or. It's easier just to buy the box, and I don't shoot enough competitively of trap and skeet and like that to really see the benefit. But yeah, when we were younger, that was cranking them out on a Sunday morning to be at the range at 10 o'clock.
oh, and shotguns? I have a progressive. I have a mech progressive press. So, bam, put a new shell in. Bam, put a new shell in. Bam. It's just you
Yep.
know shell wad. Bam, shell wad. Bam, and
Yep.
it just spitting them out as fast as I could pull that lever. It was a lot easier. And then now I'm looking at this, and you got to anneal the brass, and you got to resize the brass, and you got to do this and you gotta do that, and I'm like, it's a whole relearning process. Like, I know how to reload. No, apparently I did not know how to reload.
It's funny you
I'm
say
like,
that. When you go to the shot show, like my world's kind of a narrow into training, handgun, and rifle and stuff. And when you walk into shot show, there are just worlds upon worlds of stuff. Like so, there's a whole world of the reloading. There's a whole world of the optics stuff, and the whole world of long range shooting. It's crazy.
it is, it's funny. So you'll go to like MDT was there, and I'm a big fan of their products, and Boyd was there, and a lot of these guys who like build chassis, build grips, barrel manufacturers were there. Glock was there. Smith and Wesson. I mean, you start going through these booths, and it's exciting to see all the new stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, one of my favorite survival guns is my Chiappa Little Badger, folds in half. Freaking love that rifle, and I got a
Yep.
.17 HMR, and I love shooting it. It's a lot of fun. So they're coming out with a newer version that's rifle size, you know, and it folds in half, and you can shoot larger calibers with that. And I was
Wow.
like, "Mm, damn it, more money coming out of my pocket." Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gotta. So we have just a few minutes before we're done here. Let me ask you. So, out of everything you saw at Shot this year, what's the one thing that you're gonna buy first? I mean, you're like, I have to have that.
Well, it's funny, and it's an old gun that came out 2 years ago. It shot.
Oh, really?
So Springfield redid the Browning high power model, and I am going to get one of those to T&E review and keep myself. Um,
Nice.
just because it really is the first one of the first cotton lock 9 millimeter pistols, and it's just cool. It's just I love the engineering and stuff, and when you think about it, how long ago that gun was produced and how it stood the test of time. You talk about 1911s all day long, in the same vein. So I kind of like to have something that's kind of historical in nature, if you will. So that's the first thing I have coming to me.
That's awesome. When you getting it?
As soon as this is produced, Springfield was kind enough to contact me and to uh, pull one off their production line for me. So when it comes off the production line, it's coming straight to my FFL, of course, after my standard background check. But yeah, I'm super excited. We get so wrapped up in these polymer guns and stippling this and changing the grips, and this is just the old school, no optics, iron sights, heavy metal pistol. So I'm super excited when it gets here. When it's going to be, I imagine a week or two. So
Oh, wow. Hey, man, that's awesome. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to watching your video.
yeah. What about you?
That's really cool. Um, that's a hard one. So the new Benelli Lupo HPR, I'm seriously considering getting that in 300 PRC.
Mm,
And that hopefully should be out before the end of May. And the other one I want is that Thompson mated with an AR-15 gun from Bishop, ammo and firearms.
yeah.
I
For
can't
no other.
tell you how much fun that was to shoot.
Well, that's important too. To find something that's fun too.
It's just a cool looking firearm.
Excellent.
I was just like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And what I'm going to ask them to do is because they'll Cerakote it is I want the base of the firearm in burnt bronze, and I want the barrel
Okay.
in copper.
Oh wow, yeah.
Don't you think that'd be kind of cool?
That'd be some interesting tones. You'll have to put that up. Up. I'd like to see that picture of that.
Oh, absolutely. If you ever come out in this neck of the woods, we'll go out and do some shooting, my friend.
Excellent.
All right, so we are at the top of the hour here, actually the bottom of the hour. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here on this podcast. We're talking about how SHOT Show was and all the cool things that we got to see. James, why don't you tell us about your channel real quick and how people can find you?
All right. So I have a website. It's 303-tactical.com. You can also find 303 Tactical, the podcast, on all your streaming platforms, iHeart, Apple, Spotify, all of them. Uh, we're going to have you on next Wednesday, and I will publish that probably on the 15th. I'm still getting my schedule back from being gone at SHOT Show. I feel behind. So we're going to do the same thing, kind of review some of the stuff we talked about and kind of go from there. But yeah, 303-tactical.com or 303 Tactical, the podcast. It's just 303 Tactical anywhere you find podcast. And we're really proud to be sponsored by Mile High Shooting and Accessories up in Frederick, Colorado. If you're looking for long range stuff or any gear for shooting, milehighshooting.com is where you need to go.
That's awesome. And once again, I am Rob Lupo from Lupo Outdoors on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you real soon. And next week, it's going to be a whole new product discussion. Join us then.